What's up, everybody? John Delarose here, the leading Hispanic voice in science fiction, coming at you with some of the hottest comic news and views and everything else. And whatever this is, this was a very bizarre day yesterday. I logged onto Twitter to see Amanda Palmer trending, which happens sometimes because the singer tends to say some controversial things and get herself into embattled trouble. Well, this is no different today. Apparently, she went on to her Patreon account and announced a divorce from her husband Neil Gaiman, who is the comic writer here, which makes this comic book news. Here's her Patreon, so she just puts up a whole deal about what's happening and announced her divorce. And apparently, she didn't tell Neil Gaiman about this, so he found out about this via her Patreon. So very bizarre. Apparently, the couple has been struggling for some time, having issues, and I don't find that surprising at all. And that's where this gets to be a little bit deeper of a story and kind of a warning against a lifestyle that's been promoted in the mainstream media for a long time, which is just to do whatever you want, do it in the road, don't worry about the family, just be out there and be promiscuous and etc. And this is kind of the end result of that. And the reason I say that is because I actually saw articles several months ago about Neil Gaiman discussing his open marriage. And actually, the article called it an on again, off again open marriage. And I don't understand what an on again, off again marriage is to begin with, because that's not how marriage works. Marriage is a partnership founded in the fact that you're going to be forever and that you're going to be building something as a family, building something uh, strong and building something immutable. So to have an on again, off again marriage right there is a red flag to begin with. And that's really why I want to talk about this today, because I really don't enjoy the gossip elements of things like this, even though it's going to get a bunch of people clicking because that's how the internet works. But I do appreciate that there is a moral element in play here that needs to be discussed. And I think that we have a good audience here who is open to a good discussion about difficult topics that may not be allowed to be discussed in a lot of circles. But the family unit is the most important unit in society. It always has been. It's the reason that our society functions as well as it does. And the breakdown of that over the last 20 years has caused absurd problems in our culture. It's caused absurd problems just with people's unhappiness in general. And we need to put a clamp on it. This is just another symptom of these problems going awry in the cultural setting. To have that on again, off again marriage, an open marriage at that, is really just asking for trouble. And especially, this is where it gets absolutely crucial. They have a young child, I think 3 years old or something like that. So they're putting a child through this because, I mean, if you think about what they want to do at the end of the day, it's they want to just chase their own fleeting pleasures at the expense of each other, at the expense of children, at the expense of their family, because they are so focused on pleasure in the here and now, so focused on hedonism, which is what our culture has come down to at this point, that they are willing to sacrifice their family. And if you think about it, it's the celebrity culture that causes this problem too. The reason that Amanda Palmer did this on Patreon is to cause controversy, is to get people looking at her Patreon. It's to get people looking at her as a celebrity again, because things are dying down, especially as a musician. You're not having your live performances and things like that at this point. You're not getting any attention whatsoever from the media. So this is an obvious situation where she's again just putting her celebrity above her family and above her child. Neil Gaiman's already asked for privacy in this situation, but it's hard. It's hard to ask for a plea of privacy. Well, I guess on his front, I guess he didn't do anything. But when it's obviously a public spectacle created to begin with, so it's sad to watch. This is the end result of our hedonistic culture. And I think we need a return to things. And this applies to comic books as well. We need a return to putting children first and putting ourselves second, because the children are the future. The children are what's going to create great society, what's going to create great art, what's going to perpetuate the virtue of human culture, the good things about human culture. And if we damage them because we're so focused on ourselves and so focused on our own hedonism, we are damaging the next generation of what's going to come out and going to cause more problems for them. We have to put a stop to that. And Neil Gaiman actually has been at the forefront of this almost the entire time. I know this isn't a popular opinion, but books like Sandman, books in that era, are actually things that ruined comics. It ruined comics because a generation came along that decided, oh, these comics for adults, quote unquote, are way more interesting than comics for children. And so we're going to make everything adult oriented. We're going to put a heavier sex in it. We're going to put heavier violence in it. We're going to swear all the time. We're going to put Batman's penis in the front of a book. I mean, those are the kind of things that have, and I'm not joking about that. If you missed that, by the way, that happened last year with Batman. Um, but these sort of things have veered the culture away from instilling values, instilling what is good and evil in children, and showing through heroes just virtue or lack of virtue, and so that children can understand it. It's gone to, and a picture book is a children's medium. I'm sorry, you're never going to get away from that. But losing that has really pushed comic culture into the dredges for the last 20, 30 years. And now we see it being reflected in the actual lives of the people who created this stuff. It's no wonder to me. Your art will be a reflection of you, and this is what you will always demonstrate. So we need to push the culture forward, and we need to push the culture back to sensibility, to where families first, to where children are first, and to where they're protected. And we have to put aside any fleeting pleasure items that we want for ourselves when children are at stake. It's super important. It has to be done. I feel very bad for the child of these two right here because they built a relationship that was grounded in nothing. We'll have our open on again, off again deal. There's no stability there for a child, even though these are very wealthy people. It's just sad. And I really pray that the child here in this situation can overcome this and that they'll focus more on what's important in the future. But it's a warning to everybody. So this is definitely not something to celebrate. It's not something fun for anybody, but it is something that needs to be discussed. And thank you guys for being with me. And let's do change the culture. Let's do it via our actions. Let's do it via our art, and let's just bring things back to sanity again. All right, hit that like and subscribe button, guys. I will talk to you soon, and be back with the comic news and reviews of the days. Let people know about the channel and all that because we're growing and we're going to make some awesome culture here in the future.